Oh, yeah. Every once in a while, you gotta go back to your roots, buddy. Grixis Reanimator in 2024, Sauron, Lord of the Rings, let's go. Ever since I've gotten into Magic, 20 plus years ago, I've been a fan of Reanimator strategies. The graveyard is just this innocent pile of cards chilling out next to your deck. Pretty useless, right? No way, buddy. It's like another hand in a Reanimator deck. The concept of cheating out phenomenally threatening creatures as soon as turn 2 appeals to me. The idea is to entomb a Jin Gitaxias, then exhume him on turn 2. Can't beat that feeling, buddy. You probably won't win that game, because you're going to be a huge target, but it's going to be interesting from there on out. That's for sure. I got an interesting request from a patron, Jim Jam Shazam, for a modal Reanimator deck. He wanted something he could power up or power down as the table got more or less powerful. He wanted a real hyena of a deck, big budget, because he's proxying everything anyway, man. That's the way to go, dude. I really think we should just destigmatize that. I got a buddy, let's call him McCusker Smelly Fingers, right? He uses proxies all the time, dude. We don't care. I don't use them because I'm rich and cooler than he is, but that doesn't mean I should look down my nose at him, It takes different strokes for different folks. Now, as per request, it was down to Grixis or Esper. Now, I do have a couple deck lists up on my Moxfield featuring Verina the Lich Queen. 1 white, blue, and a black for a legendary creature, zombie wizard. It's a 4/4. Whenever you attack with 1 or more zombies, draw that many cards, then discard that many cards. You gain that much life. Has 2, exile 2 cards from your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. This is a phenomenal zombie mass reanimation engine that relies on a couple things to drain the table. Of course, Gray Merchants out there, along with Sacrifice Outlet and Mikaeus the Unhallowed, you give them Undying. Plus we have some single target reanimation. Sack him, get him back with Undying, sack him, reanimate him. Should be pretty close to winning by then. Now of course we have the old Gravecrawler Rooftop Storm combo. This guy just sack him to the old Carrion Feeder or one of the altars, then cast him for free. Drain the table with Wayward Servant, Corpse Knight, Diregraph Captain, or Plague Belcher. Verina does a ton of looting and drawing, so hopefully you get some zombies in the yard with that. Then mass reanimation with Zombie Apocalypse, Patriarch's Bidding, or Living Death. It's a very fun deck, but it isn't really very modal. Isn't a traditional Reanimator deck. It's tons of fun though, man. Deck list is in the description. Nah, man, my patron wants something big and we gotta go bigger. Huge monster threats in the graveyard, and there isn't a huger monstrous commander more stupid than Sauron, Lord of the Rings. 5 blue, red, and a black for a legendary creature, Avatar Horror. It's a 9/9. When you cast this spell, amass works 5, mill 5 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Has trample. Whenever a commander an opponent controls dies, the ring tempts you. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, right? This is 8 mana. It's a piece of crap, dude. He's just a big old idiot. He got beat up by a dude with a knife and 2 hobbits. Well, you're right, kinda. This is a cast trigger, so even if it gets countered, you get those triggered abilities. You put some healthy mana rocks in there, stuff that taps for 2 like Relic of Sauron. 4 generic mana for an artifact. Tap, add 2 mana and any combination of blue, black, and or red. Has 3 and tap, draw 2 cards, then discard a card to get that nice looting effect on a mana rock. I really like this also because it's a big hat. Now there are also ways to cheat that casting cost, like Geode Golem. 5 generic mana, artifact creature, Golem. It's a 5/3 with trample. Whenever this guy deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. This is a little too perfect for this deck. You also want to protect this guy, so you may want to include Release to the Wind. This is an interesting card. 2 and a blue for an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it without paying its mana cost. Both of these cards let us cast the card without paying its mana cost, so you get those big triggers. And you know what, man? Since this dude is proxy and everything and money is no object, we're going to build an optimized mana base. My bro is proxying this deck, man. No need to worry about fetch lands and shock lands and dishpan hands. You know what? And that's okay. We also want some reanimation staples. Reanimate, Animate Dead, Necromancy, Exhume, Victimized. These guys let us dig stuff out of the yard early. There are other reanimation effects, but I don't have all day to list off cards, dude. We also have our graveyard tutors. You have Violent Tumor, Entomb, Unmarked Grave, Buried Alive, some other crap in there, dude. Love these cards. You gotta fill the yard, man. You want a surgical extraction out of your deck, put it right in the graveyard. And of course, looters are great in these types of decks. Obsessive Stitcher, Likeness Looter, these are good early drops. Obsessive Stitcher especially because it's a reanimation spell by itself. Likeness Looter, my new favorite card out of Throne of Eldraine. It's blue and a black for a creature, fairy shapeshifter, 1/1 flying. Tap, draw a card, then discard a card. Has X, Likeness Looter becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and this ability activate only as a sorcery. This thing's fantastic. This guy's a pseudo reanimation spell by himself, kinda. Good way to sneak in an attack trigger. Now we got a bunch of wheels, baby. Always wanted a Wheel of Fortune. It's such a powerful card, man. It's one of these cards I never got my hands on. I know it's not real, it's just a proxy, but I want to feel that power, the power of the wheel, dude. I love wheels in these types of decks because they feed the graveyard, they get you a new hand, and they disrupt the meticulously sculpted hands your opponents kept at the beginning of the game. You always have that one player at the table that goes, oh, I'm okay with that, I want to do that, dude. It's like, alright man, I don't care, brother, I'm doing it anyway. Take a look at this fella, the Dragon Mage. Whenever this guy deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand, then draws 7 new cards. Now we want this guy to have haste. We want all these things to have haste. So we got the boots in there and the greaves. These are better in decks with big, large threats that have some attack triggers. We also have the good chainer and anger. And by the good chainer, I mean this guy, Chainer Nightmare Adept, has this cool text. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn. In the 99, that counts your commander, dude. Very underrated card. If you reanimate something with a Reanimate or something like that, animate dead, counts that too, buddy. Alright, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about threats. We want some threats that put themselves into the graveyard, like the old mammoth here. Also, this fat fella, this beefy beast. The Balrog of Moria, a beast of shadow and flamethrower. 4 black and a red. For a legendary creature, Avatar Demon, it's an 8/8. Has trample and haste. When this guy dies, you may exile it. When you do, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target creature that player controls. This is the real meat though, cycling 3 in a red. When you cycle this guy, create 2 treasure tokens. This gets our commander out quicker and replaces itself and gets itself into the graveyard. Then you have cards like Scion of Darkness, the most metal of all cards, dude. It's Lou Ferrigno crossed with a damn demon head. Just cycle this beast into the yard, dude. Trumpeting Carnosaur, in addition to being a big beater, has 2 in a red. Discard it, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Just discard the stupid dinosaur and you're in the money, ripe for reanimation. Lots of value here, dude. This is the 3rd video I've had this card in. We also have a couple tutor creatures that can add consistency to your deck. Runescarred Demon, Hoarding Broodlord, these are amazing Reanimator targets. You can get whatever you need, man. You need a board wipe, you need interaction, you need more cowbell, and by more cowbell I mean Jin-Gitaxias. These are a lot of fun, dude, but know your deck and what's in it so you aren't farting around for half an hour. Sometimes I demonic tutor for a land drop, and that's okay too, man. Now on to threats, Reanimator targets. This is where you can scale up or scale down your deck's power level. So what do you want to put in there? Doesn't really matter. Obviously the Jin-Gitaxias and the Xander the Collectors of the world are bonkers includes, but these are a little stacksy. A turn 2 Jin-Gitaxias can put a real damper on a game, dude. Your bros need to have answers, and those answers probably should exile him, or it, or whatever it is. You know what? You could put some fat dragons out there like the Cavern Horde Dragon. 7 red for a creature dragon, it's a 6/6. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest number of artifacts an opponent controls. It has flying, trample, and haste. Whenever this guy deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token for each artifact that player controls. Whoopee, more treasures, dude. I really like this card. You can go with a suite of dragons, lean on those types of synergies. Oh, you want to be a real monster? You can slap in some Eldrazi, It that Betrays and Void Winnower. These are killer cards, man. When it comes to threats, the world is an oyster, as they say. I talked a little bit about my Be'lakor deck in the past. Fantastic Reanimator that leverages demon synergies and demon mass reanimation and copies to eke out wins the old-fashioned way, with demons the way our politicians do it by summoning demons, dude. Honestly, Jim Jam Shazam, if you wanted to, you could interchange demons as the threats and switch out Be'lakor as the commander so as to add variety whilst keeping the mana base the same. And listen, man, that's what we do on the Patreon, dude. We do decks for people, man. That's what we do, brother. So if you want to join the Patreon, you can do it. You don't even have to pay, man. Get in the Patreon. I'm going to put up some chats in there for people who aren't paying.
I want to get everybody in there if I can, dude. And this is a fun deck. It's got lots of synergy. It's right up my wheelhouse, as they say, right up my rectum. Rectum, I didn't even know him, but I do know Sauron, Lord of the Rings, and he's a ton of fun. It's a big, stupid, silly commander that can wreck house and bust all over your kitchen table. Anyways, man, check out all these deck lists for nothing but a good time, brothers. Nicky G, signing off.